CP3 would take the game over. Drills the three, they're within three. Next possession, Paul guarded by Robert Covington. Oh, you can't stop this. And he's letting him know it. 28 points, 0 turnovers for Chris Paul. We're tied at 98. Under 15 seconds to go. Tied at 100. Paul in the lane. Gets the foul. Goes to the line with a chance to give the Thunder the lead. Knocks down the first. Here comes the second. Thunder, a 2-point lead. 13 seconds to go. What will Houston draw up? Here comes Westbrook. There goes Westbrook. Oh, where's he throwing it? Robert Covington didn't see it coming, can't hang on, and out of bounds it goes. That would be all she wrote. Westbrook turned it over 7 times. Thunder force at Game 7. Chris Paul, the hero. OKC has life. Richard Jefferson and Tim Legler are with me this morning. And RJ, we will start with you because it feels to me, in a way, like everything in the world is at stake now for the Rockets in a Game 7. They put this thing together with a small ball and a chance to make a run here. The coach hangs in the balance. James Harden, we know about the playoff history. Feels like there is a lot at stake as this team faces a first-round Game 7.
No, there is a lot at stake, but understand when you're talking about, the Houston Rockets and you're talking about some of these top tier teams, there's always a ton of stuff at stake. But yes, is D'Antoni, on the hot seat? They still have two of the best players in the NBA, regardless of what happens in Game 7. But I think this Game 7 is going to be huge. One thing we did know, you did not want to get into a last 2-3 minute game with Oklahoma City because they have the best record in close games coming down the stretch.
I get that. And yet, at the same time, Tim Legler, you would think that a team that has James Harden, who is probably the most unstoppable one-on-one player in the sport, and Russell Westbrook would be very comfortable in these late close games. They always find a bucket, and yet they're not the team that can do that. What does that say?
Yeah, look, I do trust a guy like Chris Paul, the brains of the operation, and a guy in that situation to make sure that his team gets the shot that they want. The problem with Russell Westbrook in these situations, and you saw it again last night, he wants to do everything with speed. And that's not the time you want to use speed to your advantage. You want to be able to process the defense and see what's in front of you. He puts his head down and just goes. He finds himself in traffic, and now he throws this off-balance pass to Robert Covington, who wasn't expecting it. And it goes out of bounds. And that looked like a Russell Westbrook play at the end of the game. I don't know why the ball wasn't in James Harden's hands when they drew that up coming out of that timeout during the challenge. But to me, that ball has to be in Harden's hands because he's got a better handle, he's a better shooter, and he's a better finisher. So I don't know what they were trying to accomplish there, but I don't really trust them to close out a game as much as I will trust a guy like Chris Paul to make sure his team gets the shot they want. So if this thing goes down a one-possession game in a Game 7, I think Oklahoma City has the advantage.
All right, that would be really something. If this team, the small ball team with the superstars, goes out in round 1, that would really be a big surprise. Meanwhile, how big a surprise would it be if Miami takes out Milwaukee? If that one was the game of the night, this was the performance of the night. Jimmy Butler, spectacular Game 1 in this second-round series. Second half, third quarter, Heat down 3, not anymore. Jimmy Butler doing it from everywhere, doing it from outside. Now watch him take it inside. Jimmy Butler, where's the defense? Oh, we're tied. Next Heat possession. They're down 3. Butler says not for long. He would score 12 straight points in the third. Heat would take a 6-point lead going to the fourth. And in that fourth quarter, Giannis really struggling. Bucks down a deuce. Working hard inside is the Greek Freak. Watch the pivot foot. They called a walk. They called a travel on a superstar in the NBA. Later in the fourth, 5.5 to go. Bucks down 1. Giannis, oh, that's not close. He was 1 of 4 from the floor with 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter. 3 minutes to go. Heat up 3. Jimmy Butler, oh, it's a 6-point lead. Oh, he was spectacular. He would score 40. He's the third Miami player ever with a 40-point playoff performance. You can probably guess the others. That's right, LeBron and D. Wade. In this case, Miami takes a 1-0 lead behind a huge night from Jimmy Butler, an 11-point win. Question is pretty simple. Richard Jefferson, Milwaukee, best team in basketball basically the entire year. Are they in trouble?
No, I don't think they're in trouble. I think Milwaukee is going to rev up. What their hope is that, Miami slows down a little bit. You have those young shooters. They're playing great. Jay Crowder's playing great. You start to see why they brought in Andre Iguodala and gave him the contract that they did. He's able to facilitate. He's able to guard Giannis and potentially guard more perimeter guys if you look at who they would potentially have to play in the later rounds. So I think Milwaukee is going to get better. But ultimately, this was a little strange to me. Giannis questioned why, when somebody asked him if he thought about guarding Jimmy Butler, and he questioned, why would you ask that question? The reason why they asked that question is because you are the defensive player of the year. You can slow down people. You can stop people. But he was a little, caught, I won't say caught off guard, but a little defensive about that question, which I thought was a legit one.
Okay, I like that part of it. Let's also go to the Milwaukee offense, Tim, because we watched when they lost to Toronto last year, they looked like they just didn't know where they wanted to go for a bucket because there are things about Giannis that you can take away if you put your whole defense into doing that. How do they solve that problem in time to win this series?
It's going to be tough because there are limitations in his game, Greeny. But I think if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, when I like Giannis the best in a half-court situation, particularly when it's tight, I don't like him necessarily initiating the offense with a dribble coming out of the backcourt. And you saw that three that he took, 13 seconds left on the clock, and nobody else really touches the ball. That's not his shot. That's playing into the hands of what the defense wants you to do. I love when he sets the first screen at the top of the key, and he is the dive guy, because he's got one of the best set of hands in the league. He's then one of the most powerful guys going toward the rim, where maybe you hit him in the lane, or you get a collapse of the defense, and now you've got a couple three-point shooters on the perimeter. The fact that he's a straight-line dribble guy going to his right hand primarily, and that's where he wants to get, if you can load up bodies in front of him, he's not really clever with the ball to change directions and escape. He's not going to necessarily beat you with his passing. It's a hole in his game, and it's a very difficult way to close games for them. And you converse it with what Jimmy Butler did. He had 4 different baskets in 4 different ways going in both directions, including a pull-up 3, because he doesn't have those holes in his game. I think the Bucks can win close games, but I don't necessarily like Giannis initiating the offense with a live dribble. I think he's better off starting off with a screen and a dive, or maybe get him something in the post.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.